in the shadowed mountains of Carnarvonshire, where the wind howled through ancient trees and the mist shrouded the land in perpetual twilight, there stood the mighty castle of Prince Llewellyn the Great. The year was 1200, a time when wolves roamed the forests with savage hunger, their eyes glowing like embers in the night. Llewellyn, a prince as fierce as the beasts he hunted, ruled over this wild and unforgiving land with his beloved Princess Joan by his side. Among the prince's pack of hunting hounds, one was revered above all others, Beth-Gelert. This dog was no ordinary beast. He was swift as an arrow, strong as the oaks that towered above the Welsh hills, and loyal beyond measure. For 6 years, Beth-Gelert had never failed to bring down his prey, and he had earned a place in the prince's heart, not merely as a hunting companion, but as a cherished friend, almost as dear as a son. One autumn day, when the leaves had turned to gold and the air was sharp with the promise of winter, Llewellyn and his men set out on a great hunt. The wolves had been especially bold, venturing close to the farms, their howls chilling the blood of all who heard them. The prince decided to stay at a farmhouse near the place now known as Beth-Gelert, where the wolves were said to be most numerous. As dawn broke, the hunting party rode out, their hearts pounding with the thrill of the chase. Princess Joan remained behind, watching over their infant son, who slept peacefully in a large wooden cradle. The farmhouse was warm, a safe haven from the dangers lurking outside. The day was long, the hunt fierce. The men pushed deep into the forest, their hounds baying as they caught the scent of wolves. The thrill of the chase surged through them as they felled one wolf after another. But as the sun began to sink below the horizon, casting long shadows through the trees, Prince Llewellyn's excitement turned to unease. "Where is Beth-Gelert?" he asked, suddenly realizing that his most trusted hound was nowhere to be seen. The huntsmen exchanged uneasy glances. "I haven't seen him for the last half hour, my lord," one of them replied. A cold knot of fear twisted in the prince's stomach. He raised his horn to his lips and blew a long, clear note. The sound echoed through the forest, but no answering bark came. Beth-Gelert was gone. With each passing moment, Llewellyn's fear deepened, gnawing at his heart like the wolves gnawed at their prey. "We must return at once," Llewellyn commanded, his voice tight with worry. The men turned their horses and rode hard for the farmhouse, the gathering darkness pressing in around them. The prince's mind raced with terrible thoughts. Had Beth-Gelert been killed by a wolf, or had something even worse befallen him? He urged his horse faster, desperate to reach home. As they approached the farmhouse, an eerie silence greeted them. The prince dismounted, his heart pounding in his chest. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. He burst through the door, and what he saw froze the blood in his veins. The cradle lay overturned, the blankets soaked in blood. And there, beside the cradle, lay Beth-Gelert, his muzzle stained red, his eyes wide and wild. The room was deathly still, save for the prince's ragged breathing as he tried to make sense of the scene before him. "No, no," Llewellyn whispered, his voice choked with horror. His mind refused to believe what his eyes were telling him, but the evidence was undeniable. "What have you done, Beth-Gelert? What have you done?" Overcome with a storm of grief and rage, the prince drew his sword. "You have slain my child," he cried, his voice breaking with anguish. Without another thought, he plunged the blade into Beth-Gelert's side. The hound let out a pained whimper, his eyes locking onto the prince's with a gaze filled with sorrow and confusion. Even as the life ebbed from his body, Beth-Gelert licked his master's hand, a final gesture of loyalty and love. It was only then, as Beth-Gelert's body went limp, that a new sound reached Llewellyn's ears, a faint cry, coming from beneath the cradle. His heart stopped. Trembling, he lifted the wooden frame, and there, beneath it, he saw the truth. His son lay unharmed, his tiny face scrunched in a wail, and beside him, the massive body of a wolf, its throat torn out by Beth-Gelert's powerful jaws. The prince staggered back, the horror of his mistake crashing down upon him. Beth-Gelert had not killed the child he had saved him, slaying the wolf in a desperate struggle and overturning the cradle in the process. And in his blind fury, Llewellyn had repaid that loyalty with death. "Oh," Beth-Gelert, he gasped, falling to his knees beside the dog's lifeless body. "What have I done? My faithful friend, my brave, brave Gelert." Tears streamed down the prince's face as he cradled the dog's head in his hands. The room seemed to close in around him, the walls pressing in with the weight of his grief. The silence was deafening, broken only by the soft cries of his child and the steady drip of blood from his sword. The next day, with a heart heavy with sorrow, Llewellyn ordered that Gelert be buried with all the honours of a human funeral. The entire household dressed in mourning, and they carried the hound to his grave in solemn procession. A stone was placed to mark the spot, and a tree was planted to stand watch over it. The village that grew around the grave came to be known as Beth-Gelert's grave, a name that would forever echo the tale of loyalty and tragedy. And so, in the wild hills of Wales, the grave of Gelert remains, a silent witness to the loyalty of a dog who gave his life to protect his master's child, and to the grief of a prince who realised, too late, the cost of his anger. The winds that sweep through the village carry with them the whispered name of Gelert, a reminder of the bond between man and dog, and the tragic fate that befell them both.